Say that
massive human trafficking. It's a record 288 people arrested.
They're not reporting the real numbers.
The numbers are segmented and they are fictitious.
I started my career in 1997 in the United States Border Patrol. It was one of the most violent times in recent Border Patrol history. I made my bones and my reputation on that border. I believe what is happening on the border today is intentional.
We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them.
Our own government is facilitating the absolute destruction of the American immigration system, and I can prove it point by point. I'm unafraid to speak the truth. This is just data-driven and experience-driven.
Welcome to Truth with JJ Carrell. I have an incredible guest today, and I'm going to give him the whole hour of our show, and if it bleeds over, then we'll go into the vault. But this is exactly what we have been talking about for months now as I've had my show on Worldview Tube. What am I talking about? Well, before I tell you who he is and what we're going to talk about, our belief here is we trust no one. We trust no one, and we question everything. Let me give you two examples of how we've been propagandized. Okay, one's in the past, so somewhat, and one is absolutely current today. The past is, hey, the pyramids were built by illiterate, uneducated, and malnutrition slaves. Oh, okay, and the pyramids were built just in Egypt, and nowhere else on earth do we find pyramids of that size. And they were built for tombs for pharaohs. Okay, and we've been told that since, heck, I can remember looking at these books in quote history class in first or second grade and been propagandized our whole life. Well, now we find out that, hey, do you know we don't have a crane, not one crane currently that can lift one block, one from a quarry that was 500 miles away. And now we find out there's cylinders going 2,000 meters into the earth, into another piece of structure that's the size of the football field, two of them. So that's been debunked. We have no idea. We've been lied to, been propagandized. Let's look at one that's happening today, the transgender ideology movement. Why do they have to stand or have to propagate this in children, in schools? Why is it so important? Because that's where the propaganda begins. That's where the indoctrination begins. And then within 2 generations, we will all believe that men can have babies and that you can choose whatever gender you want. You can mutilate your body. It doesn't matter what your DNA is, doesn't matter what your chromosomes are. It's what you feel is what you are, and that will become reality. You don't think that's true? Look at the pyramids. Look at the AIDS virus. Look at COVID. Look at the moon landing. Look at everything. Everything. Just like I teach my 13-year-old son, we question everything, even your own father. I want you to question and fact check me, son. So what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about a subject that makes people's heads spin. And it has made my head spin for the last probably 90 days as I've kind of fallen into this and started to dig in. And that's the flat earth theory. I know I can hear it already. What in God's name are you talking about? The more you listen, the more questions you have, and then the questions that you have, you begin to answer, and you start to say the same thing as we do about the pyramids. That can't be true. That can't be true. I'm going to show you a quick video before I bring our guest in, Dave Weiss, called Flat Earth Dave. I don't know if he likes that name, but that's what he's been given on the internet, and we'll talk to him. He is the premier, prominent guy that is the expert on this. I think I've been scouring the internet on this topic for a long time, and he keeps coming up in all my feeds, and everyone that I trust, like Ryan Matta, say, nope, this is the guy you got to speak to. Go ahead, Caleb. Let's play this short clip as an introduction to our guest.
You piss off a baby, you take its ball away, right? Not much difference between a grown man, because your entire world is based around this. Now, what they don't want us to understand is that we are these incredible, powerful beings. We're in this realm. We're part of this living system. The moon controls women's menstrual cycles. The sun controls men's cycles. Where the sun and the the sun and the moon, the sun is electric and the earth is magnetic and we are electromagnetic. We live in this incredible realm at the center of creation. This place was created for us. It is filled with abundance and it is magical if you don't understand what this place is. Our thoughts create our reality. Look at your life. It's your fault. Everything that you think, you attract. Your thoughts are magnetic, right? They don't want you to know that. So what they do is they literally put a globe over your head and they say, this is where you live, a world of limited lack and fear, okay? It's a prison for your mind. And when you're in that prison, you don't even see the bars, right? Because you're lost in there.
That is the intro to, if we can get that off. Yep. The flat earth. I want to bring our guest in. Dave, Flat Earth Dave Weiss. Welcome to Truth with JJ Carrell.
It's Weiss like ice, but that's
Weiss. Did I just say Weiss? I'm sorry. I just asked him before.
It's all right.
Because I was telling the story of a great friend of mine in San Diego PD that has the same name and we call him Weiss. I'm sorry.
That's my
it's
nickname.
Weiss.
Like, people call me Weiss my entire life. They call me Weiss. So
I apologize.
It's all right. David. People are like, what do you like, Dave or David? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't distinct between either. So it's all good.
Okay.
You said a couple of things I want to address, but first, I just put together that we're connected through Ryan Matta, your business partner, my friend. God bless both of you. You guys are doing incredible work. I am an honor to speak with you. And anybody, all of my listeners, you got to follow their work on the child trafficking. I don't want to say problem. I want to say epidemic. Is that not even a good, what's the word? What would you call it?
Evil. The evil
in this world. And these guys are taking it apart like nobody else. So thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. First thing you said is great on your show here. Don't trust anybody or anything. I say, don't trust me. Don't believe anything I say. Verify everything. And when you do, when you take the time, if you could break out of that programming, then you'll see. Once you see, you can't unsee it. And the other thing is, you said for the last 3 months or so, or 90 days, you've been your head's been spinning. That's the only thing that's spinning, because the Earth is not spinning. The Earth is level. It's stationary. It's topographical. It's not going anywhere. And one thing that all flat earthers, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. One thing that all flat earthers have in common is they look back and go, how did I ever believe in the globe? How did I, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Well, something you just said is what I say every single day on my show. Don't trust me. Don't take for what I'm saying as just, okay, JJ said it's got to be true. No. I want you to question everything that I say. I want you to go and research it, because when you do, you're going to go, let's say that you go and you're only able, there's 8 things, and you're able to determine 6 things that I said are absolutely 100% true, and you're still trying to get to the other 2. In your brain as an intellectual thinker, you have to think, well, why would he tell me the exact truth about these 6 things, and he's lying about these 2? Now I'm going to give you some credibility. Like when I listen to someone, I go, well, I can't really verify this last thing. However, everything this man said to me has been factually true, even though it makes your mind explode. So I think this is something great that you said, question everything, because anyone outside of our realm, meaning in politics, the globe, no one says fact check me. No one says that. When you listen to, quote, the experts, they say, well, you just need to believe me, right? Climate change, the science is done. Believe me. You have to get this vaccine shot. You have to, just believe me. Don't look into it. This is where we're at. And Dave, I will tell you, let's say 90 days ago, I start looking at videos. You start popping up everywhere. So I text my good friend, our mutual friend, Ryan Matta, out of the blue. It's like kind of late at night. And I text him, I go, Ryan, because he told me about this when we were filming, and
Ryan's been sending you flat earth stuff here and there, just like over time. So
yeah, and I keep dismissing him, like, no, I'm not ready. No, that's insane. And then I text him and I go, is this flat earth stuff really true? I'm in a rabbit hole. And he goes, welcome to the rabbit hole, my friend. He goes, you need to talk to this man. And he said, you. And then I said, oh, I've been watching him. So he got us connected. So I'm very excited to have you on my show. And I want to give you some time, because before we dive into it, I want my audience to know who you are. Who are you? How did you get into this? And then how did you become the premier expert on flat Earth?
So I don't want to say I'm the premier expert. I'm just the guy with the loudest mouth that's out there the most. So I'm no dummy, but I'm not the smartest out of everyone. There's a lot of really smart people, researching this, and you don't need to be like super high IQ to see flat Earth. It's so easy to see. You have to be, I don't know you have to be super indoctrinated not to see it, but they've done a good job blinding us to it, because we are programmed with the globe from infancy. With you got a mobile of planets over your head in a crib, and you got NASA sheets, and Sesame Street has astronauts on, and every movie is globe, globe, globe. And in first grade and second grade, they teach you all of the globe nonsense. One of my earliest school memories was the teacher took us outside into the playground, got a rope and a bucket and water, spun it around, and said, "That's gravity." And as a little kid, I said, doesn't the water have to be on the outside? Because, if we have a globe, those water's on the outside. And the teacher goes like this, and he gets his book, and he shows me all these highlights, and he goes, "This is how they told me to teach it, so that's how I'm going to teach it. But you keep asking questions, right?" And then I went and played on the swing. That's it. And then 40 years later, I'm like, excuse me, I'm like, what? So how did I get into this? I was doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole out of New York City. And we're looking into all of the big deceptions, New York, Connecticut, Boston, everything. And people in the third year started sending me flat Earth stuff. And I was like, nope, delete. I'm like, you're annoying. Ban. I came up with ban for life. I just banned everybody from our social media that even suggested that I watch a 1-minute video. And then my friend Sophia Smallstorm, who did 9/11 Mysteries and Unraveling Sandy Hook, and she's like, "Dave, I think the Earth might be flat. You need to look into this." And I was just like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" And then I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna." And I didn't go into it open-minded. I didn't go, "All right, let me see if the Earth is flat." I went into it going, "Let me disprove this nonsense, prove the globe, and shut all these idiots up." And for 2 weeks, JJ, I couldn't sleep. I'm watching video after video. And at that time in 2014, YouTube would go, "Oh, you like that? Here's another relevant video." Now, you just get propaganda. You just get nonsense. It's like searching, is child trafficking really done by the government? Tell me what results you're going to get. You're not going to get your video. No, your videos aren't going to come up. It's the same. It's the same with flat Earth. So that's my journey. And then so as soon as I realized the Earth is flat, and then I went out and tested it. I bought a $1,000 super zoom camera, tripod, went down to the beach. I actually had a perfect day, and I could zoom in on a buoy over 10 miles away. That doesn't seem like far, except 10 miles, there should be 60 plus feet of curvature, 60. And I could see the buoy and the water beyond the buoy. And then I said, okay, wait a minute, the curvature calculator is wrong. And I went to the debunking sites, and they're like, "Oh no, you share the curve. You're halfway down and it's halfway down." I'm like, "That's stupid. That's stupid, but I'll give it to you. I'll cut it in half, 30 feet of curvature." I could see the surface of the water beyond the buoy that I shouldn't be able to see. That's a problem, right? So then once I realized, okay, we're not on a globe, Earth is flat, I said, I can't talk about, this is like, I said, I don't want to talk about this on the podcast because we're going to lose all our listeners. That's the first and only time I thought listeners over truth. Okay. I was like, we built this podcast up, and I'm like, I'm going to just, but then one day later, I'm like, now I'm talking about it. And for the next year, we did a lot of that stuff. And then finally the podcast blew up. And I started the Flat Earth podcast, and it was the only podcast talking about flat Earth. And that went viral also. It was amazing. And so here I am talking to you today. I had just finishing with who I am. I went to college, worked in corporate America. I was in the printing industry. Then I was in the solar industry. Worked my way up in this big solar company, turned it into commercial company, left there, started my own company with a couple partners. And then my truth journey was interfering with my business journey. But I had everything I wanted, everything, the American dream. I was an entrepreneur. I had my own business. I had lots of free time. I was making more money than I ever thought. And then on the other side, I have my truth thing, which is totally distracting me. And my partners are like, you got to make a decision. And basically they threw me out, or one of them threw me out, but I made the decision to leave. They couldn't throw me out. So I made the decision to leave and leave all of that on the table. Thank God my father had passed away years before, because he would have talked me out of it. And here I am talking to you, because this is the greatest decision I ever made. Because waking up the world to the truth this is what the journey you're on. I mean, you want to wake people up to something that they don't want to look at. It's the same thing here. It's the same exact thing.
Do you think that people don't want to talk about it because they are fearful of sound crazy? And let me give you an example. I came from church last weekend and had some friends. We all gathered outside in the courtyard of the school. It's a Catholic school tied to the church. And this one guy is wonderful. He's a businessman like you were, and he's very calm. And I leaned over and I said, "Hey, I'm going to interview this guy about the flat earth." And I whispered it. And I know, and I don't talk like that. I whispered, and he looks at me and he goes, and he looks at his wife. He goes, and he cups his hand and he goes, his wife, Laura, I think Laura believes that. And I look at Laura and I say kind of louder, "Do you believe in flat earth?" And she goes, "Flat earth, 100%. And I'm like, holy cow. And then everyone around us is like, yeah, you can see him nodding. Yeah. But it's almost as if we needed the okay amongst our peer group to say, let's talk about it. Do you find that quite a bit?
Well, I used to be like that, but now I get recognized in airports and all over the place. People are like, "Dave," and which I don't care about I guess you can call that fame or popularity,
right?
Whatever. I use it as a benchmark. Like, I hope everybody knows who I am. Everybody. Because when everyone wakes up to flat earth, this entire world is going to change. When I used to wake up people I called it exposing the big three. New York, that September day, Boston, Marathon Day, and the beachy school in Connecticut. And I was like, I can show people that these are complete and total garbage events. They're going to wake up, but people will see it, and then they just go right back to sleep. When you wake up to flat earth, there is not a day in your life that you don't think about flat earth before your feet touch the floor when you're getting out of bed in the morning. Every single day. It's in your mind. You're like, we're not spinning. We're not flying through the cosmos. I mean, the idea that, that we're on a spinning ball. This is a balloon, 127,000 feet. The earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour below it. Okay, 1,000 miles an hour to the east, right? It's spinning to the east, right? So we're disconnected from the earth. The earth is spinning to the east. That balloon it's up there for 3.5 hours. It should be 3,000 miles to the west, but it actually landed east of where it took off. How does that happen? Right? And the problem with this is people are not taught to think. They're taught to memorize and regurgitate. Become a professor. You got a textbook, and let's say everything in the textbook is garbage. Doesn't matter. If you can memorize and regurgitate it, you get to teach the garbage to the next generation. Right? If you question it, like JJ goes, that doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get an A, and you're not going to become a professor. So people say, "Where's your degree?" My degree is in common sense. My degree is not in memorization and regurgitation.
Start your day with the glow that comes from within. Introducing Bella Grace Elixir, a beauty secret that nurtures your skin from the inside out. Packed with natural ingredients, Bella Grace helps collagen production, reduce fine lines, and restore your youthful glow. And the best part, Bella Grace is perfect for your busy life. Take it with you on the go wherever you go. Bella Grace Elixir. Discover the secret to timeless beauty. To get your hands on this product, go to www.shopbellagrace.com/truth.
Well, let me be. God, Dave, there's so much freaking questions I have, but I think this is important for us to have this pre-conversation, if you will, before we go into the nuts and bolts of what you believe, because I believe the story of who you are and what you're doing is as fascinating to me as the flat earth. And I let me make this one statement before I go on further. You said, once you begin to learn the earth is flat, you will think about it all the time. Damn it if you're not 100% true, because I've only been doing it for about 90 days and I think about it every single day. Every single day I look up at the clouds and I think, damn, is this a flat earth or are we a globe? Is this a flat earth or are we a globe? Every single day. And I think, am I going crazy? And you and I talked about this briefly before coming on. Almost the same way is when Ryan, Matt, and I did What is Treason Trafficked, and then when I talk about the open borders and I talk about NGOs and USAID and how the federal government funded all of it, there is a sense where I educate people and I tell them through books and documentaries and through interviews, and they still don't want to hear it. They don't want to know that the federal government trafficked children. And I would like to ask you, do you feel the same exasperation sometimes when you're talking about this topic? Like, I went in front of Congress and said thousands of children are being raped right now because the federal government allowed children to come in. Nope, I don't really care, JJ. Time's up. Boom. I write documentaries and write books. RFK Jr. comes out, says the exact same thing that I said, validating everything I said about child sex trafficking, and yet no one wants to talk about it because it does not fit inside that box that has been propagandized. Then, and my side of propaganda, Dave, is America is a great country. America is morally right. We're morally better than every other nation. And when you look at the statistical data about child pornography, raping children, hard narcotics, bringing in people to do our labor as slaves, that doesn't equate to a moral country. It equates to a country that's in moral decay, and people don't want to go there. Do you feel the same way, that people don't want to have to open their mind? Because if they believe the earth, or is proved, not believe, if it is proven to them intellectually that the earth is flat, then their whole world changes and they don't want to change the world.
It's easier to convince somebody they've been lied, it's easier to convince somebody what I'm trying to say. Well, it's easier to convince somebody they've been lied to than I just completely forgot the thing. It's easier to lie to somebody than to convince them they've been lied. Is that the saying?
Way I see it is people just want. There's a significant percentage of Americans that just want to be left alone. They want to watch their TV. They don't want to know.
Oh, there you go. It's easier to fool them to convince.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you so much. Something just have that brain fart. It happens.
Well, I believe that. Do you feel that with your subject of flat Earth? Do you feel that that's the intellectual disconnect that people don't want to admit it because it changes their worldview overnight?
People don't want to change. Change is hard. Change takes effort. And you have to change beliefs. And the globe was set into your psyche from before you can literally think or question things. You were told the earth is a globe as a small child. It's the foundation of your whole world. So when you discover flat earth, you have to rip that foundation out. But the truth is, if you're on a globe, you don't have a foundation. You're spinning out of control, flying through a galaxy. This is where you live. You're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, right? The earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour in a curved trajectory. That's not a straight line. That's a curve. Go in a car 1,000 miles an hour. No problem. Take a turn. You're going to feel it, right? So you're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. You're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour. You can't even fathom that number. 66,000. That's too, you can't even fathom that speed. And then you're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour, never to return to where you were before, but none of the stars ever change. You don't feel any of that. This is what you have to believe. Be the lie, be live, believe. And this is a place of fear, a place of insignificance, right? There's no atheist in flat earth. Now people go, flat earth is a religious thing. You have to be religious. I'm embarrassed to say it. I was an atheist if you will. Before I discovered flat Earth, I believed in science. I believed in the Big Bang. I didn't really believe in God. Or maybe you could say I was a little spiritual. But then when I discovered that we live in an intelligently designed system, I have no choice but to understand that there's a creator. So once you see flat Earth, you can't unsee creation.
Okay, let's dive into that. Before I think this is one of the major questions. I have two major questions. Well, actually, I have thousands, but two that are standing out in my mind. One is, do you find biblical references to this? And I want to keep going down that journey where you became a believer in God because of flat Earth. Why? Is religion tied to it in some way? Is it proven in the Bible? And why do you believe there's creative, let's say, don't even want to believe in God, a supreme creator, someone of divine intelligence and ability?
Yeah. So if you're walking in the middle of, let's say your first day on Earth, you know nothing. You just dropped here in the middle of the Amazon and you're walking and you walk up to a 100-story skyscraper building. Do you believe there's a builder or do you know there's a builder?
You know right? You have to know that somebody built that.
Right. There's a verse in the Bible that says something like, I think it's Romans something, that once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence. And that's the truth. Once you see creation, that's why the evil ones, and they are evil beyond what even you and I realize, they want to destroy God. They want to replace God. And so they want you to believe that we came from a big bang. Once upon a time, there was nothing. It exploded, became everything. And then all the rocks came together and all the gases turned into gas balls in a space vacuum, which defies natural law. And then lightning struck and created an amoeba. And that amoeba turned into a fish and it grew legs. It climbed out of the pond, found another sexy fish and had a monkey. And that monkey had a human. That's what they want you to believe. Okay.
Oh God, that's so perfect. You know, and I love this quote. It takes more faith to believe in nothing. Everything came from nothing versus our belief of, well, somebody created this. Oh no, you're crazy. You're crazy. Yeah, you're right. A fish turned into a monkey, turned into a human. Boom, there we are.
Yeah. And right now, like my eyes, right? I'm wearing glasses today because my eyes are just tired. I'm looking at you. I can see you here. I can have a window here. I have trees. And then behind that, I can see clouds and sun. I could perceive all those distances, colors, shadows. I can sense all this stuff's going on. And that's all just random mutations from an amoeba, right? My eyes developed to be able to do all of that, right? Our eyes are proof of creation. Our body, everything is proof of creation. And we can get more into that. But the Bible is probably one of the most accurate historic books ever. You know, the earth takes shape like clay under a seal. This is the flat earth, right? Water needs containment. So we have a shoreline of our world, which people call the ice wall, right? And then Werner von Braun, who's the Nazi scientist who took over NASA, on his gravestone, all it says is Psalm 19:1, which reads, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." Why does our rocket scientist that runs NASA talk about the firmament? Why is that all it says on his gravestone? Right? There's over 200 verses in the Bible that that talk about a stationary earth. None talk about a ball. And the Bible literates will come out and go, what about Isaiah? It says the circle of the earth. Look up the definition of a circle. A circle is a line on a flat plane where all the points are equidistant from a center point. And later in the Bible, they talk about spheres, right? Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, right? How could on a globe every eye see him? Now, again, this isn't proof. This is just lines up with a flat earth. There's so many things. I created an app because of the YouTube censorship. I created this app. I first created it for myself just so I could show people how the sun goes around, it makes a circle, makes our inner loop. We can go over this some more in a minute.
Yeah.
It has all the videos that you can't find on it. It has a daily video, and I give people a challenge. I have a 3 Bitcoin challenge, right? It was 1 Bitcoin when Bitcoin was like 20 grand, but then Bitcoin dropped down, so I changed it to 3, and I never changed it back. So now it's 3 Bitcoins, which is over $300,000 now. But I'm not worried about losing my Bitcoins because Earth isn't a globe. And the challenge is watch the daily video every day for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, if you can give me one proof that's exclusive to a globe, you win the 3 Bitcoins. It's simple. But there's none. There's none. There's so many proofs for flat Earth, and there's none for globe Earth. But the globe trolls, the ones that are either satanically possessed or paid, I don't know if there's much of a difference. They'll say there's no proof of flat Earth. I'm going to show you proofs today. I'm going to show you plenty of proofs today, and there's plenty more. But on here is a frequently asked questions page, and you could be like, hey, what about satellites and GPS? What about eclipses? Where does the sun go? These are all, there's hundreds and hundreds of videos in here that Google will not let you see. But I was bringing this up because there's a biblical section right here, and these are all biblical channels and videos, amazing stuff, right? This is a great compilation here, Biblical Flat Earth. There's some just amazing stuff. Marty Leeds does a biblical church service every Sunday live on YouTube, and you could watch it right there.
Well, where do you get what's your app name?
The app name is called it's long, Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, but don't remember that. The only thing you have to remember about me is flatearthdave.com. Flatearthdave.com.
Oh, okay.
Just go there, and the link, there's a big banner at the top. Click it, App Store or Google Play Store. It's just available there now. I'm working on a computer version, but it's just for for smartphones and tablets. So it's mind blowing. But the other thing I want to show you before I forget, on here I have all sorts of stuff. I have a friend finder. So this is going to show me all of the other users in my area, right? These are the other people that have my app. And I could click on one of them. I could look at their profile. I could send them a message. I can organize meetups. I could show you worldwide. People like Flat Earth is dying. There's a mass exodus from Flat Earth, right? There's nobody leaving Flat Earth. I mean, you could say there's 10 people that have changed their stance over the last 5 years, but there's hundreds of people a day running. These are the people just here on the East Coast.
Dave.
Yeah. These are the people just on the East Coast that have it. And it's not just America here in the UK. Look at the UK. Crazy.
Wow.
And these are just, and now I think that my app represents less than 1% of the flat earthers out there. Because there's so many people that have never even heard of Flat Earth Dave.
Now, Dave, let's stay on that on the Bible just for a second.
Yeah.
Talk to our audience of what if someone's not a big Bible reader, what is God talking about when the firmament? What is he talking? What is it what is a firmament?
The firmament, it says on page 1 of the Bible, God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament. So we believe that I believe that space above us is literally water. If you listen to NASA, everything is nautical terms. The Sea of Tranquility, ships, docking, it's all nautical terms. So there's a lot to that. But the firmament is what holds up those waters. Now, what's it made out of? In the Bible, it says it's made out of a crystalline molten glass. I don't know if that's true. It might be. It's definitely held up by air pressure, or that's something that holds it up. But again, anything where we can't reach or can't travel to is speculation. We don't need to speculate to prove the Earth is flat. That's easy. But on the Bible page on the app, there's a video called 200 Biblical Proofs. Just start listening. You can't lose. On the page, on the one that says Biblical Flat Earth, this one right here, one of the top videos there. It's only 7 minutes long. It's by my podcast partner Matt Long, who he made a video called Dear Pastor, 7 or 8 minutes, something like that. And it's a pitch to pastors showing them that they need to look into flat Earth. It's so good. I watch it again and again and again. It's really, really good. And the only way that you don't know about flat Earth is if your ego is this big and you refuse to look. If and JJ,
I agree.
You were that guy. You didn't look. Ryan said,
in fact, I was arrogant. My wife told me about this years ago. You know what I told her? Don't ever say that to me again. People will think you're crazy. That's a quote. That's what I told my wife. She reminded me the other day, and I go, yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you a question from a biblical perspective. Does flat Earth make you believe in God more and why versus a globe?
Well, does flat Earth make me believe in God? Flat Earth forces me to understand that there's a creator. And here's where I come from. I used to be listening to, researching, truth for decades now, 3 decades at least. And I'd be listening to a podcast and like, these guys are good. And I'm taking notes. I got 3 pages of notes. And all of a sudden they go, let me read a passage from the Bible or let's pray. Right. And I was like, oh my God, these guys are religious freaks. Throw the whole thing out, unsubscribe. That was me. That was me because I was like, oh my God, now I can't believe anything they say. And now, I don't lead with Bible proof, but I could. Every single thing I could lead with a Bible proof, but that's useless to somebody that doesn't believe in the Bible.
Right.
Useless. So lead with the science and then say, and by the way, the Bible backs it up. Also. So what was the exact question?
The question is, so let's say and I've heard you say this before, and I'm going to paraphrase it into what I believe, and you tell me if you're aligned with this. When you look at in your brain, you think I'm thinking on a globe, like we're a globe. I'm thinking about the way I've been taught my whole life, a globe, and it's gazillions and gazillions of space. It's endless. To me, that begins to make God smaller. And it means God's farther away because he's dealing with a lot of stuff and over there and Pluto, and Pluto's a planet. It's not a planet. God's making these decisions. Then when you talk about flat Earth, and that's it, buddy, that's all it's contained. It makes me mentally, and I'm not saying I'm like you. I'm going to tell you the truth. I think I'm a smart guy. I'm not the smartest guy, and I never want to be the smartest guy, right? I don't want to know everything. Nobody can. I want to gain information, but I'm a great consumer of knowledge. And then my God-given ability God gave me was to lead men and make decisions. When I think of the flat Earth, it makes God very, very close, and it becomes very, very personal, meaning I'm looking up at the sky and there's God. Now I know God's right here beside me, but in my limited thought, in my black and white way I think in law enforcement, there's God up top and he's looking at me. Holy crap. He's not 20 billion miles away. He's right there and he's staring at me.
There's nothing we wouldn't do for our pets. They're like our children. Our friends at Pet Club 24/7 have developed natural products that contain the most potent strain of a mushroom that's been used for thousands of years to help support the immune system. So visit their website today to discover how they're changing the way that pets and their parents are being treated for the better.
So that's an interesting thing. I don't want to say I was a bad person. I was a good person. But when I understood that there's creator and it's local and it's here and this place was created for us, I became a better person. I became more godly. I started really paying attention more. And it's changed my life for the better in every possible way. But here's where I draw the line. Because of the way that I was, where anybody that mentions anything religious, I immediately discount everything they say. I know that there's a lot of people like that in this world. So I don't want to lead with God. I don't want to lead. Actually, I do want to lead with God, but I know that I want to help people. I look at myself as a stepping stool, right? If seeing God is up here, it's too high. You need a step down here. So I'm that step. I kind of bring them to flat Earth. And then once they see flat Earth, I was like, hey, by the way, you gotta believe in God now. And then once they see creation, that's where I draw the line. It's none of anyone's business what your relationship with the creator is. That's your own journey. Now, if you're a Christian, there's a lot of great Christians out there, and there's a lot of really bad Christians out there that have pushed me away from looking into Christianity my entire life because they're too pushy. Set an example. Don't tell people what they have to do. Don't tell people you're going to hell. Don't tell people anything. Just set an example and lead by example.
I agree with that. I agree. Yeah. Okay, my last major question before we get in and you prove to me as a skeptic, I'm not a skeptic, but to a point I want you to prove. The big question, Dave, that I have, and no one seemed. I've watched your videos and I haven't seen it, or maybe I missed it. The question is simple, and it's the same question I ask about open borders, child sex trafficking, and it's the three-letter word: why? Why have we been propagandized in your mind to be forced to believe that we're a globe and we're spinning at 60,000 miles an hour around the sun
Well,
into infinity?
yeah, you showed one of the things I like to show is that we are incredible spiritual beings. We have incredible connections to everything. You know, I used to laugh at people that believed in astrology. I'm like, Mars is in retrograde. Mars is like 800 million miles away and it can't even affect our tides. How's it going to affect your life? Right. But then when you understand that, wait a minute, Mars is an energetic, in my opinion, sentient light source here, very close to Earth. We're connected to all of the stuff. And we live in this incredible system where we have manifestation capabilities with our minds. Our thoughts create a reality. JJ, look at your life. It's your fault. Okay? It's
I
completely
believe
your fault.
that.
Yeah.
I believe that 100%.
So they don't want us to understand, you know, how this system, it has a rhythm and we're part of it, right? You know, they've changed our calendar. There used to be 13 months of 28 days. Every month started on a Monday. Monday was the first, and Sunday was the 28th. And then that's 364, and then one day resets the year, and they go again. And that follows the moon cycles, right? So they don't want you to understand that if you follow those cycles, you can manifest your life any way that you want just by thinking, you know, and following God's law. Don't steal, don't interfere with anyone else's free will, essentially, right? So they don't want us to understand how powerful we are. So what do? They put us in a prison, and that prison is the globe. The globe is a world of lack and fear and asteroids and nuclear bombs and running out of oil, and we're overpopulated. All of those are lies. Everything about it is lies, right? If the population was 8 billion, I think it's closer to 2. Every family could have a half an acre in Texas in the world, and the rest of the world would be empty, right? That's insane. That's insane. So why would they lie? It's all about control. It's about controlling your mind. And then when people say, well, who are they? Who are they? Well, these are the unelected people that run the world. You got the Council of Foreign Relations, United Nations, Bilderberg Group, Club of Rome, Royal Institute of International Affairs, and the Trilateral Commission. Those are the puppets that we can see, right? They're getting their marching orders from other people beyond where we can see, in my opinion.
Do you believe that evil plays a part in this? Because I believe this is the age of awakening, meaning everything's being challenged and everything is being questioned. And one of the things that I keep seeing as the reoccurring theme is the people are evil. This is good versus evil as well. Do you believe that when it comes to flat Earth?
This is a spiritual war that we're in. The entities that are running this world, they can be classified them as evil, but I don't look at anything as good or bad. We live in a dynamic system. This is an amazing place where we are. And evil can only affect you if you allow it with fear, false evidence appearing real, FEAR, right? So if you live in fear, that's how they can control you. But if you don't live in fear, and JJ, you don't look like a guy that's afraid of anything, they don't affect you. I asked you before the show, how much pushback are you getting? You're like nothing. Right? There's nothing. You're just doing your thing. You're not living in fear. You're following your truth. You're following, I'll call it God's will, if you will. What is God's will? Everyone should love everybody, right? It's all about love, spreading love and knowledge, right? Share knowledge, spread love, unconditional love. That's the thing. That's what it has to be. Unconditional. Now, I could not like people, but I was like, you know what? We call these people the anti-flat Earth globe shills, trolls, whatever you want. They can say or do whatever they want. Go ahead. I'm not interested in you. I just let them have their life, and that's their journey. We all have our journeys. And so, you know, I hope
Do
I
you
answered
get
the question.
pushback? Do you get pushback?
I get pushback from. I don't even notice it anymore. I don't pay attention to it. I hang out. Birds of a feather flock together. You know.
Right.
I hang out with good people. Listen, my brother and sister. We don't talk. Right. We've never talked about flat Earth. They're so far asleep. I have nothing I can say to them. Right. It's really sad. You know, it's like I used to be able to talk about the weather, but the weather's not even real anymore. Right? You can't even talk about the weather. It's all manipulated. It's like, you know, sports, it's all fake. It's all nuts. What can you talk about with a normie? Can you tell me something?
Normie. Okay, that delivers right into. I think this is great. This is this is my favorite interview, and I'm not even halfway through it. Okay, now I'm your brother and your sister, or I'm just a normie. Convince me that I'm wrong and you're
All right.
right.
So you believe the Earth is a globe.
Correct.
I know it's flat. What is your reason that you think the Earth is a globe? Go ahead, make something up.
Okay. Well, I won't make it up. The moon landing and the pictures back. I know. I had to say that with a straight face. Okay, Dave. I'm role playing, Dave. I'm not a good actor. I'm trying to.
Lord. And I want to point out something. Whenever you ask a globe believer about the shape of the Earth, they point up at the sky. They point up at stuff that you can't touch and just stuff that doesn't make any sense. But every one of these, like, I'll let you continue. But as Crow 777 Radio, one of my favorite podcast show ever talks about it, he says, belief is the enemy of knowing, right? You believe I live in Connecticut. I told you I lived in Connecticut. You'd believe it, but you don't know it.
Right.
You don't know it. It would take time and effort for you to find it out, but you probably, why would he lie about that? You store it as truthful information. Did you know that he used to be the president of the United States too? Years ago. But now you're not going to take any effort to verify that because you know it's fake. You stored it as fake information, right? But if I tried to convince you that it was true, I probably couldn't budge you off of that one because that one's a little crazy. But people don't want to take the time to verify things. It takes effort.
True.
It takes energy, and that's a problem. So once you go on down this journey, you start enjoying verifying things. Like, you know what?
Yes.
Anything you tell me right now, because of my ability to look at somebody, hear somebody, the tone in someone's voice, sense their vibration, you're a truthful guy. So it would be hard for me not to believe something you say. But if you told me something huge, I'd be like, it's probably true, but let me go verify it. Right. But then other people that you don't know, you kind of have a different filter on them. But verifying something is the key. So the moon landing. You really want to go to the moon landing.
So I saw the people fly in a rickety thing and they landed perfectly and they got on the moon. They looked and took pictures of the Earth and it was round. That's why I believe in the globe. Come on, man. I tease you up. Prove I'm wrong.
I'm going to go to the images section here. I'm just going to type in the LEM to start. So this is the LEM that they landed on the moon, the moon in, right? So two guys and a car were in this thing, okay? Two guys in a car. Let's take a closer look. Let's look at that. Is that paper mache and tinfoil and curtain rods? Look at these connections. Engineers, look at this. Right? Look at this. Let me ask a question. If your basement was sheetrocked like this, would you pay the guy? Wait, look at the little nozzles. Look, there's a little jet nozzle here. It's hard to see. That's a little jet nozzle right there. Right? Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Right? So let's it's crazy. It's crazy. Here's the moon buggy. Check this out. So they're driving around the moon, right? They went up there. They're driving around, right? This thing cost $38 million back in 1970 or whenever it was, right? Look at those beach chairs. They're broken. They're beach chairs, right? And look at this. This is an umbrella that you buy on the street in New York City when it's raining for $3, and they painted it gold.
No.
Right? This is insanity, right? But check this out. $38 million in 1970. With inflated dollars, you can buy this bad boy for $37 million today. Okay? $37 million in today's inflated dollars, $38 million for this Jeep chassis, beach chairs, and umbrella, right? I'm going to show you now. Everyone's seen, the debunking of this, debunking of that, and then the debunkers come out. What's that? The two guys that debunk everything. I don't know. The Mythbusters. They love debunking the moon. Yeah, they're total paid. So here is a video, right? So let me just stop this. Right. So right now, where's the sun? Sun's over here, right? See the shadow? It's going that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna just let him go, and it's gonna start doing a little hippie hop, and the camera's gonna pan to the right. The shadows are still, we're just going to the right a little bit. We're not going that far. And here he is, and now his shadow is going kind of that way, right? And then he's gonna go a little farther. We just turn a little bit farther, and now his shadow is going the opposite direction. How's that possible? It changed direction. How did the sun get over there? Right? Now, watch this. This is the middle part. So look in his visor. You see that you're going to see two lights. Ready? You're going to see two lights reflecting in his visor. 1, 2, right there. He's going to go. When he turns, you're going to see two more. So there's only the sun on the moon. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lights. What's that reflecting? And the question is, maybe something like this? Maybe. It certainly isn't the sun.
Okay, let's say that everything that you're showing me is true, and which I'm gonna say yes. Everything, but the Earth is still round. That doesn't disprove anything.
So looking up at the sky doesn't prove the shape of the Earth. I asked you for exclusive evidence that supports a globe Earth, right? You're going to find during our discussion, things fall into 3 baskets. It works on a flat Earth only. It works on a flat Earth and a globe Earth. And it only works on a globe Earth. And you're going to find that nothing goes into that last basket. So do you have anything? I mean, I could start showing you flat Earth proofs, but what I found is you can show somebody 100 flat Earth proofs, but if they have one idea, well, the boat goes over the horizon from the bottom up, or the sunset over the ocean in California, if you don't cover that one thing, they don't believe anything that they saw. You were talking.
Okay, let's go to that. I lived in San Diego. I worked there for 24 years, and I actually the part of my area of operation on the border was the very southwestern point of the United States. And there were many, many nights because I worked swing shift, that I would sit out there and I'd watch the sun disappear into the horizon.
Into the horizon, not below the horizon. Very good. So let me show you first how perspective works. All right. So this is what I call my flat Earth kitchen. I got my kitchen counter here. I got some stuff on it. And I have a line here. And I'm moving the sun along a line. Now, this could be mountains or it could be clouds, whatever. It's below the sun, and I'm just moving the line across across this level line, and I'm viewing it from a celestial point of view, the height of the sun. Now, I have a camera on the table on the other end. I'm going to show you it from the camera's point of view, from a terrestrial point of view. Same scene. Is this sun going down? Is this line tilted? And is it going below this thing here? Is it going below it? It's not. I showed you before. This is a zoom. Look at this line. If I showed you this first and said, is this level or is it sloping down? You'd say sloping down. So this is the sun going beyond your horizon. Here it is. Here's a real sunset. Here's the elevated look at what we're looking at here. What's this going behind? It's going beyond this atmospheric deck of opacity.
Okay, let me ask you a question. And this is from a skeptic ignorance, okay? Where did the sun go?
It goes literally around. I'll show you in a second where it's going.
Okay.
So here's a coin on a table, and it'll disappear from the bottom up. And that's because the camera is a little bit below the table. And well, when I'm standing at the edge of the beach, I'm not below the water, and I see the sun go below the water. Do you see it go below the water? Really? Really? Let me show you what you really see. Right? Where is it? Give me one second. It's flat earthers say the horizon always rises to eye level. It appears to rise to eye level. It appears to rise to eye level, but it literally is that horizon is thousands of feet above your head. So first, understanding what you see. What do we have here? Now, I put this picture together. We got a boat on the water, guy fishing on the dock, sun, clouds, you got a tree. And your life experience tells you that the water is lower than the dock. The boat is sitting in the water. The sun is higher than the boat. You know that the sun is higher than the tree. It's just the angle that we're looking at it. So the question I have for you is, where is the 50-story skyscraper? You see it?
No.
Are you sure? It's taking up more than half the picture.
Elevate your skin's natural radiance with the Bella Grace Dewy Serum, your go-to for smooth, hydrating, and glowy skin. Infused with nourishing ingredients, it provides deep hydration, a soft texture, and a luminous, dewy finish. Like, come on, look at that. Whether you're at home, on the go, or heading to practice like me, Bella Grace Dewy Serum fits seamlessly into your daily routine. Glow from within all day long. Bella Grace Dewy Serum. To get your hands on this product, go to www.shopbellagrace.com/truth.
Yeah.
So I am in New York City looking straight up, and here's a 50-story skyscraper, right? I just changed the colors, and your mind can't see it. But now you see it. See it now?
Yeah.
So here's the sun. Let's say it's noon, and the sun goes over there. Now it's 1 o'clock. Is the sun below the horizon, or is it just blocked by the building?
In my mind, it's blocked by the building.
Well, it's clearly blocked by the building. Now, how could you see it? Maybe if you went to the other side of the street, or if you went up, you'd be able to look over the building and see it again, right?
Right.
Okay. So just remember, beyond the building. So here's a perspective grid, which they used to teach us in school. And you got a guy, this is his eye line. And I'll throw this mountain in here. Let's say this mountain is 3,000 feet above his eye line. Here's the sun above the mountain. And the sun is just going to go away. Is it below the horizon, or is it just beyond the mountain?
I see what you're saying. It's just going straight. It's just
going
being
beyond
blocked.
the mountain.
Yeah,
and it's
beyond
being
the
blocked.
mountain.
Now, but this is clearly above your eye line. But what if this mountain was 30 miles away, right? If it was 30 miles away, it's going to look like that. There's the sun. This line right here, which is his horizontal eye zone, is 3,000 feet above his eyes, flat or globe. But it looks like it's at his eye level. And the sun goes away. It's going beyond that elevated horizon. Now, if we had the clouds in here, sun's up here above the clouds, these clouds are all wedging in due to perspective into this line. The sun just goes away again. Now what is this line? Is this line 3,000 feet above his eye line, or is it the height of the atmosphere wedged in there too? It's 10, 20,000 feet above his eye line, but it appears to be at eye level. The sun just goes beyond it.
And then circles back around.
It circles around. The sun makes a circle around. Let me just show you real quick. So this inner line, yellow line, is the Tropic of Cancer. Everyone's heard the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. They don't understand what it is, right? On a globe, The Tropic of Cancer is up here, and it's a circle around, and the Tropic of Capricorn is down here. It circles around, equidistant from the equator in the middle. So in June, the sun migrates all the way into here, and that's when we have our northern summer, because the sun is closer to us. When something's closer, it's higher in the sky. That's why the sun is higher in the sky in the summer. And it circles around. And then 6 months later, let's go to, where are we? That's July. July, August, September, October, November, December. So in December, the sun is all the way out here. And Australia is having their summer. Why? Because the sun is close and high in the sky. It goes right over Australia. The outer south has its summer in December, and we're having our winter because the sun is far away from us, so it's lower in the sky. We see it for less time. 6 months later, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 months later, the sun comes all the way in to here, and we have.
Why is the sun changing?
Well, that's what this system does. You know, why is the Earth spinning? Why is the Earth orbiting the sun in the heliocentric nonsensical model?
So everything is so. All right, this dives in deeper.
Yeah.
So we're not circling the sun. The sun's that is just the beginning of an incredible. I think it was like 2.5 hour interview. If you want to catch the last hour, the last 75 minutes of that interview with Flat Earth Dave, then go to worldviewtube.com/JJ and join the vault. worldviewtube.com/JJ and listen to Flat Earth Dave. When you begin to hear him speak and listen to him, your world is going to change.
Russian hackers found a way to hack our utilities, and the hackers may still be in there waiting to strike.
Go after their power, go after their water, and you can bring a nation to its knees.
They're identifying targets. They're positioning malware so they could pull the trigger when they wanted to.
Experts see the intrusion as a possible precursor to an unprecedented Russian cyber attack that could, in the event of war, devastate the U.S.
We know that China has been hacking everything they can and stealing our intellectual property. They want to take down America's economy. They want to take down our morale. They understand that if they can destroy our economy, they can destroy our future. We're at war.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Hey, consider going to mypillow.com right now and get your pet a pet bed, just like my beloved Delta has right here in